Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. I don't think Stephen A. Smith is aware. People see through the act. Have you ever asked yourself the question, for as much praise that Stephen A. Smith gives athletes, why are they always going at him and calling him out and calling him out of his name? You ever wonder that? Of all of the praise that he gives NBA players, why is he always getting called out? If it's not by LeBron, then it's by KD. If it's not by KD, it's by another guy. If it's not by that guy, it's by the... You ever wonder why? Some of them would be like, well, but Stephen A. Smith would be sitting there saying, well, but he says nice things. No, they see through it. Stephen A. Smith has a pattern. The pattern is the following. Before he is getting ready to trash you, he will say a bunch of nice things right in the beginning. And then at the end of that, he will turn around and now say what he really thinks. And people have gotten to the point where they don't care if you say, oh, he's a great athlete and this and that, or he's a spectacular. They don't care no more. When Stephen A. Smith talks about Kevin Durant and he goes up there and he says all of these, now Kevin Durant, everybody should have him on the team. And then in another video, in another segment, he's over there trashing him. After a while, people don't believe you no more, bro. They just don't believe you no more. People have seen through that game already. For as much twerking as he does, people still go at him. No matter what, because they've seen through the game. So what happened? Stephen A. Smith recently was talking about what's going on with the Memphis Grizzlies, right? We did a show about it yesterday talking about NBA players are fearful to play in the city of Memphis because of safety concerns. We did a show about this, right? Well, one person that heard this news was Grizzlies star Ja Morant. Ja Morant heard these comments and decided to respond to Stephen A. Smith on Twitter and essentially call him out. Let me show you the first thumbnail. This is from Complex. It says, Ja Morant responds to Stephen A. Smith saying players don't feel safe in Memphis. And folks, when I tell you that he got at Stephen A. Smith, I'm not even joking. What Ja had to say in his response to Stephen A. Smith. The Post says, NBA Central, Stephen A. Smith says NBA players have told him they would feel unsafe playing in the city of Memphis. Cats like Jimmy Butler and others don't feel like it's the safest environment. I'm talking to the local authorities in Memphis. Ja responds, talking about the Grizz more than the finals with these capping ass sources. I'm assuming that's what he says. He then says, instead of focusing on the performance we've seen from J-Dub, Shea, TJ, Siakam, how the series is going, we say something negative about a city team / on a national level, right? And then he says, and I'm about to be in that 901 Memphis. And guess the best part of it all. Stephen A. Smith then responds, because I see an article from Awful Announcer saying, Stephen A. Smith's response to Ja Morant's call out. So this is what we are doing now. Right? He then goes to his Twitter. This guy's unbelievable, bro. He's unbelievable. What did I tell y'all? He then goes on his Twitter to respond to him saying the following. So this is what we're doing now at Ja Morant. I recall talking about the finals, but the Memphis Grizz made news because of Bane getting traded and your possible extension coming up. Would you prefer I go into details about what the hell has been going on in Memphis? Why players have stated they're not interested in going, or even more details? Or would you like me to leave well enough alone and let the great peeps of Memphis address it in their own way? Your call. I'm all ears. This is what I'm talking about. This is why they don't like him. Because on one hand, he'll be saying, oh, there's nice things about you. But the minute you say something and you disagree with him, he threatened to expose you. We've seen this story before, bro. He just had his thing with Tyrese Halliburton on ESPN. First Take. Tyrese Halliburton ain't say nothing. He already threatened Kevin Durant that you don't want to make an enemy out of me when Skip Bayless was on ESPN First Take. And I had to go back. How many athletes has Stephen A. Smith said that they should retire? I just realized it was 2-3 years ago, Stephen A. Smith was saying Kyrie Irving should retire. Then he told Kawhi Leonard should retire. He always telling somebody that they got to retire. And these guys, they watch all of this stuff that goes on with all of their counterparts, and they get to the point where they're like, bro, no matter all of those fake ass nice things you be saying about me on TV, bro, I see through it. You can't be as nice as you claim to be to these guys. Then the minute the guy says something, you getting ready to expose him. You getting ready to expose him. Have you noticed he's the only one that finds himself in a situation where these cats are always calling him out? Always. They always going at him. They always going at him, bro. NBA players generally, I believe, don't like Stephen A. Smith, bro. And the ones that do probably are only rocking with him because maybe they can gain something by being affiliated with him. But for the rest of them, they don't care about being affiliated or gaining something. They're not going to sit up there and fake it with you because they already know. This dude on one hand will call you the greatest thing in the world and in the next breath, trash you. Even LeVar Ball said it. The son is fake. Bro, it's so obvious, man. So you don't think John Morant heard all of those things? The city of Memphis need to leave him alone. And I mean, they need to get over it. And he saw through it. It's just the usual talking point. Say a bunch of nice things and then pile on. Didn't he tell Lonzo Ball, if I'm not mistaken, he need to retire too? Talking about he could barely walk. And then Lonzo responds to him. What does he do? What he just did right now. Threaten to expose all of your business to the world. Do you want me to call the doctor? I know the doctor. I know the day you did it. I know where. It's like, yo, bro, what are you doing, bro? Always threatening some athlete that you're going to expose them and put all their business out there. These guys see it. They see it. How many has he threatened? How many? How many NBA players has this dude threatened on TV? They seen through the game, bro. Shout out to John Morant. John Morant like, yo, ain't nobody going for this, man. We already see through this. You just saying this now because it fits a moment. But if I do some or something happen later or some news come out tomorrow, you're going to be trashing me. So you can just keep that. Just keep that. Stephen A. Smith recently made headlines, right? Because he was videoed during the Game 4 of the NBA Finals playing solitaire on his phone during live game action. Right? There's a picture of it and there's a video of it. Even Kevin Durant posted it. We did a show about it. Right? But in typical Stephen A. Smith fashion, instead of him just owning up to the situation and just saying, hey guys, you got me, he didn't do that. Instead, he started flailing back and going back at people for calling him out when we have the video evidence of him playing solitaire while the camera's panned the guy with the camera panned up to show that the game live action was going on. And first thing he said was, what's the big deal about it? What's the big deal about it? Well, it seems like one person is fed up with Stephen A. Smith. As a matter of fact, yesterday we just produced a show of Nick Wright going as Stephen A. Smith, making fun of this very situation. But also we played a clip of Nick Wright calling out Stephen A. Smith a few months ago over the comments that he made about Bronny James. Where am I going with this? So this morning I was just going through the internet looking for what to talk about. And I came across an article from Awful Announcing with the following headline saying, Nick Wright accusing Stephen A. Smith of lying over awful response to 2 recent incidents. And I'm like, oh, this sounds like it'll be great. Okay, so let's get into what this report says. It said Nick Wright teased Stephen A. Smith over his solitaire playing during Game 4 of the NBA Finals on Monday's episode of First Things First, but the FS1 host took a more serious tack Tuesday morning on his podcast, What's Right. In a lengthy segment intended to hold Smith accountable, the FS1 host took issue with the 2 comments from Smith. One was a personal response to a fan at Gamebridge, a field house, who caught him playing the solitaire during the game. The other was Smith's disconcerting response to the U.S. Senate Alex Padilla storming a press conference over the Trump administration deportation raid. Wright accused Smith of latching onto false right-wing talking points on Padilla's arrest, while arguing that in the case of his silly solitaire controversy, Smith outright lied, taken in total, Wright said, they reveal a troubling trend for Smith, just as he is gaining influence outside the sports world. On the topic of Padilla, the FS1 holds detailed the blatant lying from the administration and conservative media, who accused Padilla of not identifying himself and lunged at Homeland Security Kristi Noem. Video of the confrontation told a far more a peaceful story, but Smith went along with the administration's version. Wright believes Smith and his pals on the right knew none of that was true, but they said it anyway. It was fiction that they felt they could get away with because either people are numb to it, or in an effort to both sides everything, folks will justify it. So when I saw when I then saw a guy who I've always respected, a guy who I've always liked, a guy who I've always had a good relationship with, Stephen A., use his massive platform to essentially kiss the ass of people who are lying about what happened to Senator Padilla, didn't care that they were lying about it, and abandoned any obligation, in my eyes, to truth or fairness in just a relentless pursuit of a bigger and bigger tent and larger audience and more eyeballs. I found it just awful. Then continues on. Wright saw the proceedings as an example of Smith taking up the right wing's habit of shameless lying. They know they're going to be called liars. They don't care because there is no damage right now to being a liar, Wright said. And they just want to muddy the waters enough that people can then claim there's a disagreement or debate or confusion about what happened. Such confusion is exactly what happened when Smith was caught playing solitaire during a game he is paid millions to cover for ESPN. Wright acknowledged the solitaire situation was silly, then says, my issue is with the response, Wright said, because the response was so instantaneous and easily disprovable as a lie. It was during a timeout, knowing he's a very smart guy and that if someone took a picture, someone might have a video. If they have a video, the court might be in it, or sound might be on it. Or in the picture, everyone in front of me is standing. So the response is just lie. Who cares? And then when the video comes out and it's you clearly lied, turn it into your own joke and meme and move on. Then the article goes on to say a few other things. Look, let me address what Nick Wright had to say about Stephen A. Smith for his political points. I have stated this relentlessly on my channel. I am shocked that anybody anywhere takes anything seriously that comes out of Stephen A. Smith's mouth as it pertains to his political views. I am shocked that people actually give 2 cents, a cent even, to any political thought that Stephen A. Smith has. I'm stunned by it. Why am I saying that? Why am I saying that? Because I believe Stephen A. Smith is a flat-out grifter. I believe that he is a Democrat masquerading as a Republican or conservative because they're the only ones that are going to give him a platform to spew out his ridiculous talking points. That's what I believe. They're willing to give him an audience, so therefore he's going to say things that they want to hear because they're giving him a platform. This is what I truly believe, number one. Number two, the second reason I believe that he has these conservative views is because they're in vogue. They're in vogue. Whatever side's winning, that's the position he's going to take. If you look at Stephen A. Smith historically, he's always been on the left. But now all of a sudden, he has all of these right-wing views. And my thing is this: if you're a Democrat, so bloody be it. If you're a Republican, so bloody be it. But what I don't like are people that are trying to play both sides of the fence. And the irony in all of this, there's a large contingency of Republicans or conservatives that don't believe he is on the right ring. And there's a large contingency of people on the left that believe that this guy is making a fool out of himself, because we know where you really stand on these issues. That is the problem. That's the problem. Stephen A. Smith, every time something happens, he can tell you why everything is wrong about the Democratic Party. But then I'm a centrist. It don't work like that. You can't be a centrist that's always targeting one side. That's not a centrist, bro. That's somebody grifting along the table. And people take him seriously, which is astounding to me. It is astounding to me. I've heard Stephen A. Smith sit on the panel and say, I am not qualified to talk about any of these issues. And then guess what? Start talking. And then people sit down and be like, oh man, you said something interesting because he can talk fast and regurgitate current events. Yes, he can talk fast and tell you what just occurred. Yes, he can do that. But what is his point of view on anything? On anything of substance? He has no point of view on any of these subjects. He'll say, I think the Republicans did this bad. But then the Democrats, bro, what is this? And do you know why it's a big joke? If Stephen A. Smith decides to run for president, what party are you going to run for? You going to run as independent? When was the last time an independent won the White House? There are only two major parties in the United States, Democrats and Republicans. So which party are you going to run for? Nobody knows. So what party are you going to run for? You don't want to identify as a Republican. You trash the Democrats, but you're going to run as a Democrat? I'm confused. So when you run as a Democrat, what? People on the left are supposed to vote for you? A guy that trashes their party? I am confused. I'm confused. But then people want to act like this guy is saying something. It is a joke, a huge joke, a massive joke. The joke of the week, joke of the month, joke of the year. So Nick Wright is talking about his inconsistencies, his incongruities in the things that he does. In terms of him lying about, that's Stephen A. Smith business as usual. And if you call him out on it, he's going to threaten you on TV. That's what he's going to do. I'd made a concerted effort to not talk about LeBron James. And we haven't been talking about him for the last few days because I just said I'm tired. Right? I'm tired of talking about him. Like it's exhausting. I want to talk about other things. And that's what we were doing. But I know some of the LeBron supporters that watch our channel, they were just laying in the cut, waiting. Am I going to drop a video on him? I'm going to say one video we did. Wasn't even about him, but I mentioned his name in the video. This dude just popped up out like a freaking groundhog. Why you always talking about why you going to mention LeBron? It's like, yo, they're scanning the content. They're like a freaking AI bot scanning. Did he say LeBron here? Why'd you say that? Like, so I've done my best to not talk about dude, but some comments recently came out from a Q&A session that he had on his show Mind the Game with Steve Nash. I purposely did not click on that show because I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to hear nothing about it. I didn't want to respond to it, nothing. So Mitch, who works with us, sends me this clip yesterday. And this clip, or these quotes rather, were from LeBron's show Mind the Game, where he was responding to someone and he was talking about ring culture. And he was essentially calling it weird. The moment I saw the quotes, I was like, we got to go live for this. We went live. We had a rocking time. Everybody was in there. And I was just going off, man. I was going off. So that kind of simmered down. I'm like, let me get back to talking about other stuff. Then I'm going through the internet and I came across a clip from Fox Sports Radio, The Odd Couple, featuring Rob Parker and Kelvin. And they're reacting to it. Well, I'm like, well, let me see what these guys are going to say. Guys, when I say Rob Parker lost it, at one point I thought they were going to cut off his mic. He absolutely lost his mind. What we want to do now, I want to play exactly what Rob Parker had to say here, and then want to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Rob's rant here.
Hey, LeBron, you got 4 rings. Why don't you tell us your thoughts on rings culture? Take a listen.
It's funny, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the A-all, B-all of everything. You sit here and you tell me, you know, Allen Iverson and Charles Barkley and Steve Nash, you know, our wasn't unbelievable. Like, oh, they can't be talked about or discussed with these guys is because this guy won 1 ring or won 2 rings or won, like, it's just weird to me. It's like saying Peyton Manning can't be in the same room with Brady or Mahomes because he only has 1 ring. They don't never discuss that in their sport.
Right.
Or telling me that Dan Marino is not the greatest slinger of all time. Or he can't be in the room with those guys because he didn't win a championship. They don't discuss those things.
Once again, if he had enough rings to be considered the greatest, it would be okay. This is a typical LeBron. He doesn't feel like he's going to get there, and that's going to be held against him. So now he's going to play the ring. If it wasn't about that, LeBron, and if Steve Nash had any kind of
stop expecting him to
okay? No, if he had anything, then I would have said, LeBron, why did you leave Cleveland and go to Miami? Chasing rings.
Cleveland!
You're the one who did it. You're the one who ran away. You're the one who put together a super team so that you could win rings. You were the one who were afraid not to win a championship. As great as you were as a player.
Not 2, not 3.
That's right.
Not 4,
now he's saying,
not
listen
5,
to this.
Not 6.
Is he talking
not
about
7.
being a great
And when I
player?
say that,
He's
I
talking
really
about
believe it.
winning rings because that's what he wanted to win. He's such a phony. I'm so tired of hearing this. On one hand, he's talking about, I don't know why we're talking about rings or whatever. He's the one. Kelvin, that wasn't somebody imitating him. He's the one talking up about 7 rings. He's the one who left Cleveland, his hometown, and went to go chase rings in Miami. He's the one who keeps leaving, who came to L.A. to chase rings because he looked at Michael Jordan. And if you look at Michael Jordan's career and you think it's just about rings, you're mistaken. Michael Jordan was a great player, led the league in scoring 10 times. I could go over and over the all-time leading scorer in the postseason. It was more than just the 6 rings. This whole notion. And if Steve Nash had anything, he could have said, LeBron, Peyton did win 2 championships. Well, Peyton only got 1.
Yeah,
they don't even know.
He forgot that Denver one.
Exactly. But my point is, this is total garbage on LeBron's point. What on part? The only reason if LeBron had 8 or 10 rings, you think he would be talking about the number of rings people counting? Of course he would not. Such a phony. I'm so tired of hearing guys make an excuse when it doesn't fit their narrative. He has to be able to talk about longevity and all this other stuff to be able to be considered great. It's not that you have to win a ring to be great. Okay? You can be a great player. I'll sit here and tell you Charles Barkley was a great player. Mm-hmm. Steve Nash won 2 MVPs. No one's going to say he wasn't a great player in the NBA. But when you talk about the greatest of all time, I don't know of anybody who's the greatest of anything who didn't win at some point in their life. Dan Marino was a hell of a quarterback. I'm going to sit here and tell you he's the best quarterback ever and he never won? Come on, man. Nobody. How many times do I have to bring up Marv Levy? He went to 4 straight Super Bowls as a coach.
Not 3.
4. Not one time have I ever heard anybody say Marv Levy's the greatest coach in NFL history. You know why? Because he didn't win. That's why we keep score. That's why we hand out trophies. It does matter. Stop trying to say that winning doesn't matter. It does matter when you're talking about putting somebody ahead of everybody and saying they're the greatest that ever did something.
People have gotten lazy, Rob, and make it the end all be all.
I disagree. I think it fits people's narrative. If LeBron was 10-0 in the finals, there's no way he'd sit here and tell you about rings. The reason that Wilt Chamberlain never really got the credit that he deserves and broke all the records is because he didn't win enough. Not that he didn't win enough to dominate as much as he did. People thought he should have won more, and that's what hurt him. When you're talking about the greatest, this is not a conversation of whether somebody's good. Nobody's going to question whether Charles Barkley was a great player or Steve Nash has 2 MVPs. It's about the greatest of all time.
But that wasn't the conversation,
No,
though.
That is the conversation.
No, because I'm agreeing. What I'm saying is
that's the only time that you take everything into consideration and you nitpick when you want to crown somebody as the greatest.
But I think
it's not about
the ring culture.
Nah, it's not just.
But see,
that's
Rob,
the only thing that matters because that's not true.
So you heard what Rob had to say. Where is he wrong? Even a LeBron fan would hear that and say, okay, I get where you guys are coming from. I don't see how a LeBron fan would be able to defend their favorite player here. All right? And it's not because of things we're saying. It's because of things LeBron himself has said. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it not LeBron James that said, after the 2016 championship, I feel like this made me the GOAT. Greatest player of all time, excuse me. Why would you feel like a championship would make you the greatest player of all time? Do you know why? Because he puts a lot of value in championships. He values it. And he believes it's a determinant or a determining factor when ciphering through players to understand who are the greatest players of all time, especially when ranking them. So for him to turn around years later and say that ring culture is toxic is laughable. It is absolutely laughable, and LeBron fans refuse to point out this particular hypocrisy. They refuse to deal with it. Instead, they'll say, oh, you're hating on. They don't want to deal with the fact that what their favorite player just said was insane, because it goes against everything that he has done. If rings had no importance, why did you create the big three with the Miami Heat? Why? Why did you get all these Hall of Fame players to the Los Angeles Lakers if it doesn't matter? You could have simply gone on about your business, winning championships. Playing games, putting up stats, and it doesn't matter. But even you know, and you use it as a way to bolster yourself ahead of certain players, and players that people may say is better than you, and you'll use your record. His fans do it. LeBron has 4 finals MVPs, 4 championships. How could you say Kevin Durant? How could you say Kawhi? How could you say Nikola Jokic? How could you say Jan? They use it. So to hear you now say ring culture is weird, it's just insane. The second thing, and the bigger issue, is that it's like you're teaching people, it's like you're trying to destroy the essence of what sports is, which is competition. Competing is not really a big thing. It's not really that important. I mean, winning, so what? You win, you lose, you try, and then that's it. No, bro. The essence of sports is competition. That is the essence of sports. And for you to try to dumb it down and say it's not important, there's a problem with that, because you're only doing that to serve your own purposes. No one ever said, and I said this in a live yesterday, I said it before I even heard Rob Parker speak. No one ever said Charles and AI and all of those guys weren't great. Nobody ever said that. But when we're trying to differentiate the top 10 guys of all time, no, accomplishments, accolade, all of those things have to be measured. And they have to be taken into account. So for you to say none of that matters, why does your career even matter then? Why does what you did in 2016 even matter? Why is what you did in Miami, why does that even matter? Do you see the problem with this? The thing that you want people to take seriously is the thing that you're saying people take too seriously. It's just insanity. And the Barry Bonds analogy was horrible, considering what people murmurs around you. That's a horrible point. A horrible point. That was terrible, bro. That was a terrible take. There's no way to intellectualize that take. It was bad from beginning to end. These are the channel. As you guys know, I'm not a fan of Stephen A. Smith at all. Right? I try to be sometimes, but generally I'm not. And I disagree with him a lot of the times for some of the things that he said. But in this particular instance here, I'm going to agree with him. And I'm going to tell you why. This is kind of the continuation of what we did yesterday when we did the live, reacting to LeBron James's culture and ring culture which I thought were absolutely absurd and patently absurd, given the source that it was coming from. Given the guy that has created super teams and all, to hear him say that, the guy that talked about in 2016 that made me the greatest player of all time, to now turn around and talk about it's toxic and why do we talk about it in basketball? I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. So we did a show about it, so a few people reacted to it, but then turns out they reacted to it today on First Take. And the first person that had a crack at it was Chris Mad Dog Russo. He told LeBron he was off his rockers, which I agree with. But then Stephen A. Smith took the stage. And let me tell you guys, he absolutely flame-broiled LeBron James on this topic. And I think he was 100% in the right. So for those of you who didn't hear what he had to say, I'm going to play his comments for you now, and I'm going to come back and react to what he said. Take a listen to Stephen A. Smith here.
You are beyond wrong, Wendy. You're not even close to being right on this one. Not. I'm sorry. No way in hell. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, you brought up LeBron and the rings, okay? Who's devalued LeBron? See, that's the BS that we have to stop letting him and his camp get away.
Lots of people have.
Once again, no, excuse me. When we talk about the GOAT, because he's not in a lot of people's eyes, it's Michael Jordan. That is it. Everybody universally recognizes him as one of the top 3 players in the history of basketball. What the hell else do you want? A diaper and a bib? What do you want? Do you want us to feed you some applesauce or something? My God, what more can you do? Other than saying he's not the GOAT, he's number 2 or number 3 if you want to put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's resume in there. What else is there? There's nothing else to deny him. And everybody recognizes that. It's factually incorrect when they walk around acting like he's been devalued. It is not true. It is not true. Now, let's get to the point that you and I do agree about. If it didn't mean much or should it mean much, well then, why were you so relieved to finally have one? Why did you depart Cleveland to go to Miami and join forces with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade to get one? Why did you depart from there to go back to Cleveland? Because LeBron only went back to Cleveland for one reason: to resurrect his reputation and his stature, because it wasn't that he departed from Cleveland, it's that he didn't deliver the chip when he departed. So he went back to erase a more than half-century curse on that area in professional sports because they hadn't captured what? A championship. So in other words, he understood it in departing for Cleveland to go to Miami. He understood it in departing from Miami to go back to Cleveland. He understood it when he arrived in Tinseltown with the Lakers, that stars, superstars who wore the purple and gold, he couldn't be the one person that didn't capture a championship. He had to get at least one. But now that you've got it, all of a sudden, you really don't understand why it's of so importance. It's nonsense. He understands why. But let me take it to a level he's not going to take it to, that most of us, Doggy, myself, and many, many others would. Once upon a time, Wendy, you know this, the endorsement dollars, the sizzle, the shine, and all the monetary compensation that came your way because of it was courtesy for championships. You weren't getting that kind of shine when you weren't winning. If you didn't win anything, it wasn't coming to you like that. What happened is that we've been able to use championships as validation for the shine that you receive. Because without it, you just see a lot of cats getting a lot of money. Why is that a problem? It's a problem because on too many occasions, I'm not talking about on the court, because I would never accuse a player of being lackadaisical on the court. They show up on the court and they give you effort. I'm talking about the commitment that LeBron gives, that he's revered for, along with many others, and what they bring to the table off the court, in the off season. Are you constantly working to improve your craft and to elevate your level of play? The audience needs to see that. And validation is an insatiable appetite for the chip. If you don't have an appetite for the chip and you're laissez-faire about it, and it's okay, I didn't win, all right, so be it, it's all right, there's more things to life. The audience ain't gonna like that. The patrons ain't gonna wanna patronize your product, your brand, et cetera, because the emotional investment they place in you, the reward that they expect to receive at the very least is a passionate approach to you in pursuit of excellence. And excellence is defined by winning. You talk about we don't remember number 2. You know who we do remember other than winners? People who really, really sucked, who were really, really horrible, that really, really didn't care along the way. Oh, we remember them too. And when you're trying to capture championships and you're in tireless pursuit of it, that's what the people want to see.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say about this. What are my thoughts about this? I don't know why LeBron does this. Is LeBron not aware that people are also like in the world? We have access to information. We can access history and all of this. Who are we kidding here? And what his fans are trying to do is distort. Oh no, what he's saying is, why are we diminishing players like Barkley? Nobody ever said Barkley wasn't great. Nobody ever said AI wasn't great unless you're a bloody idiot. What we're saying is those that won chips are greater. Now, obviously, we're using some damn common sense because Robert Horry has 7 rings. He has more than Michael Jordan. Are we saying Robert Horry is better than Michael Jordan? Has anybody ever said Robert Horry is better than Kawhi Leonard or Charles Barkley or Allen? Nobody has ever said that. But why do we all of a sudden now get so dumb when we want to explain a stupid... This is what happens. We got to get dumb to explain dumb things. You inevitably will slip and slide into a gutter of stupidity when trying to make sense of stupidity. That's the problem. I don't know what LeBron is trying to do here except diminish the importance of rings, because he discovered that a lot of people are not going to put him ahead of Kobe nor Jordan because he hasn't eclipsed them yet. You have a 4-6 record in the finals. You're not going ahead of Kobe or Jordan. You're not. And the irony of all of this is I've heard and seen LeBron fans argue against fans of Kevin Durant or Stephen Curry. LeBron has 4 finals MVPs, blah, blah, blah. So now it matters. But now all of a sudden it don't matter. Bro, it's unbelievable at this point. It is unbelievable. The antics, not even antics, the antics that seep out of the pores of love. I don't know why he does this. And the saddest part, I said in the live yesterday, Steve Nash is just on there debasing himself on that show. Steve Nash, do you have an opinion on anything that doesn't coincide with LeBron James? Do you have a viewpoint on any? Now I see why it didn't work in Brooklyn with Kyrie. They walked all over you because you can't even push back in a simple conversation. So how will you push back in a real life situation coaching a team? Yeah, LeBron, I agree, LeBron. Oh, man, LeBron. Is this what Steve Nash has been reduced all the way down to? A freaking sounding board? Yeah, man, I agree. Oh, yeah, you make a point there. Oh, yeah, man, you make a point there, too. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, bro. Steve Nash, you up there embarrassing yourself. You are too great of a player to be reducing yourself all the way down to this. It's embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing. Another example of the antics. I had LeBron in my top 5, but the bloody antics never stop. He just cannot stop with the antics. This is something that I'm itching to discuss. So, as you guys know, we did a live yesterday about an hour or so where we were reacting, to LeBron's comments about rings and how ring culture is weird, right? And I went off because I thought his comments were so disingenuous and so weird that I'm like, I couldn't believe he said it. The guy that went from saying, oh, in the ring when he won the ring in 2016, this right here made me the GOAT, is now the same guy talking about ring culture is toxic. And some of his supporters trying to couch it. Oh no, what you don't understand is he's trying to say that those players who never won shouldn't be diminished. We're not diminishing them. Nobody ever said Charles Barkley sucks. Karl Malone sucks. John Stockton sucks. Patrick Ewing sucks, and all of the other guys. And Allen Iverson sucks, and all of those guys that never won championships. Russell Westbrook was terrible, and all the other great players that never won. Nobody's ever said that. What we said was, when we're distinguishing who are the greatest players in the sports, accomplishments come into play. No one ever accused Robert Horry of being the greatest player of all time, and he has 7 championship rings. We've never done this. So what are we saying here? And the point we're trying to make was, LeBron is only saying this because he knows that's something that they hold against him when comparing him to the greatest of the greats. So now he's trying to diminish what it means to be a champion. And I said at the core, he was attacking the essence of sports, which is competition. You play ball to win. You play sports to win. Not for second place prizes, third place prizes. You play to win, right? So we said that. So I tuned into a segment on ESPN First Take with Stephen A. Smith, went absolutely ballistic. On the panel, he had himself, Brian Windhorst, and Chris Mad Dog Russo. So at the tail end of this segment, Brian Windhorst decides to invoke none other than Kobe Bryant. He said, one of the greatest tragedies in sports is that we never got to see a podcast with LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. Because he said, had LeBron been sitting across the table from Kobe making these comments, it would not have gone down the way that it went down. And I said, thank you for bringing up this point, because this now opens up an avenue for a larger conversation we need to have. Okay, great. We want to play what he had to say for you now. Stephen A. Smith also chimes in as well. And then I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to his comments here.
And I think you just brought up the name, Stephen A., that is really frame this argument as much as Jordan or LeBron, and that's Kobe. And, it's times like these where you so miss Kobe. And I would just say that
Yes.
the greatest podcast that we never had was Kobe and LeBron. Because the framing of this, you talk about how LeBron has contributed to this. Kobe contributed to this too. Because the Kobe mentality the Mamba mentality was championship or bust. And while Jordan and LeBron is the eternal debate, I have, observed and learned that for the modern player, including so many of today's players, LeBron's contemporaries, you're either a Kobe guy or a LeBron guy. And I know that Kobe, if he was on the other side of that table, other than Steve Nash, he would have had some words for LeBron, and they wouldn't have been.
You're damn right.
There wouldn't have been an agreement.
You're damn right.
So I do think that this is
no
also
way
a
that LeBron
Kobe
would've said
LeBron ideology. Yeah.
Well, you can say it's an ideology, but you said, hold on, doggy. The last point. You can say it's an ideology, Wendy, but you also really, really told the truth on this one. First of all, Kobe would have had a few words, but I tell you why he wouldn't have. Because LeBron would have never said that sitting across the table from Kobe. Because he knows it would have been an instant argument. There's no way in hell he would have said that. Never. He wouldn't have said that across the table from Pat Riley.
So you heard what Brian Windhorst and Stephen A. Smith had to say. Thank you for bringing this up, because now this allows me to get into my thesis here and why so many people like me are pushing back on this. Maybe some of these LeBron fans are unaware. Maybe some of you clutch sports guys are unaware. Maybe some of you booty lickers in sports media are unaware. Many of us were not fans of you dudes. Many of us wasn't checking for you dudes. When we were following basketball, many of us were Jordan supporters. Many of us were Kobe supporters. We were not checking for you dudes. We were not interested in your perspective on basketball. As a Kobe Bryant fan, I didn't care what the rest of you dudes thought. I didn't. Kobe was about winning at all cost. That was his central purpose. That's what drove him. If I'm not winning championships, what in the bloody hell am I doing it for? What is the purpose of all of this if it's not in the pursuit of rings? Because Kobe understood intrinsically and fundamentally the only way anybody would be able to put him within the pantheon of the greats was he had to win. That was the standard for Bird. That was the standard for Magic. That was the standard for Jordan. That was Kobe's standard that he imposed upon himself. So we as Kobe fans, who are millions of us, we as Jordan fans, who are millions of us, do not agree with this bull. We don't. That's for you guys to adhere to. We don't rock with it. We don't know what you talking about, bro. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Now that rings don't matter, I don't know what you on, bro. But as far as our understanding of basketball, you play to win. And had Kobe been sitting across the table from LeBron James and said that, Kobe would have looked him in the face and said, what the you talking about? What are you talking about? I remember the Christmas Day game when the Lakers got blown out by the Miami Heat, and Kobe and LeBron were going back and forth walking down the court. Kobe was saying to LeBron, I'm an effing champion. Don't talk to me. I'm an effing champion. You don't get to talk to me. And at that point, LeBron had won nothing. What was the example I brought up in the All-Star game when Kobe and Jordan were joking back and forth with each other in that 2002 All-Star game about a foul call? And then Jordan was going back and forth for Kobe. Then Jordan says, oh, hold on a minute now. Wait a minute now. I got 6. You got 3. And then Kobe's like, oh man, you gonna do that to me? Jordan letting him know. Like, before we go too far, let me let you know what it is. When they asked Jordan, how do you determine between Kobe and... He's like, Kobe got 5. Kobe got 5. So the Kobe Bryant mentality, the Jordan mindset was, you win. You in. So let me make it clear for you guys that think we're hating. No, we're not hating. We don't agree with that nonsense. That's for you dudes. That's y'all cup of tea. That's not for us. We do not rock with you dudes. That is how y'all view sports and competition. That is not how we view it. And what we're saying is we're not going to let you guys make it seem like, oh no, this is how we need to think about it. There. That's how you dudes think about it. And y'all gonna think like that for yourselves. Y'all not gonna infect us with that nastiness and tell us, no, you need to. No. That's for you dudes. Can you imagine me as a Kobe fan listening to some dude talk about, man, you know, championships ain't all of that. And then be the same dude that's running around building super teams to try to get the very thing that he'll later on turn around and say it's not important. So why is LeBron playing then? Why are you playing then? We don't agree with it. Jordan and Kobe fans, we not rocking with you dudes. And we in the millions. We not rocking with you. I don't care if you played in the NBA or not. And you support, I don't care. Because when Kobe and them were playing, we were not checking for you dudes. Let's keep it a buck. And that's the problem. I feel like now all of a sudden we got NBA players with podcasts. All of a sudden now they trying to make it seem like they bigger than what they was. No, you wasn't. No, you weren't. You were great, but you wasn't that dude. Y'all was not that dude, bro. Stop trying to act like y'all are bigger than what y'all really was and y'all opinion carry more weight than what it really does. It don't. It don't. I'm sorry. Just because you played in the NBA, you made an all-star team, whatever it is, now you want Kobe. No, you not, bro. You just simply not. You just simply not. There are levels to it. There are levels. You don't get to be a Kobe Bryant and then some dude gonna come, well, you know, nah, you don't, bro. Get out of here. What are you talking about? Jay-Z not just gonna sit at the table and talk to any old rapper. Nah. You gotta have something on your resume for me to sit down and go back and forth with you. No. What are we saying? Accomplishments don't matter no more in life? What are we talking about? What are we talking about right now? Like, what are we talking? There are levels to this. Like, what are we talking about? No, there are levels to it. There are levels to it, like with everything in life. If you put in that work and you got them accolades and you got that track record, you get to talk. But if you ain't got that, you don't get to talk like that. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. Shout out to Brian Windhorst for keeping it a stat. Kobe ain't going for that. Neither are we. So all of you NBA that be doing podcasts feeling like, oh, y'all gonna pull Rand. No, you don't need to. Nah, bro, we already had Kobe. We already had Kobe. I don't need you to now reinterpret what basketball needs to be. Nah, bro, we don't need none of that. Do you know why? Because you ain't got the results to be giving that type of advice. Kobe does. Kobe inspired tens of millions of people across the world for Mamba mentality. Who did you inspire? Who did you inspire? So why do we need to be listening to you like that? I'm just making it clear. This ain't hate. This is a group, a large fan base saying, we don't agree. Keep it pushing. We don't agree.